Johnny, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And we are at the moment in Thailand, Chiang Mai, and this is where we met recently, a couple of days ago. And how we met is like last week on Friday you had a presentation about how to run a podcast.
Yes.
So it means that you have a podcast, right? So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I started my podcast about 2 years ago. It's called the Travel Like a Boss podcast, where I interview different location independent entrepreneurs that I meet traveling. So it's mainly from anything from a digital nomad to a doctor who teaches over Skype, or does consults over Skype, to authors, to entrepreneurs. It's a great way for me to pick their brain and try to figure out what I can learn from them and what I can share with my audience.
Okay, do you interview them while you are on the road, or?
Yeah, I've done a couple interviews over Skype, just because we happen to be in different countries at the time. But in majority of them, I do in person, just like this, because I feel like you get more of a connection. You can talk about, whatever city you're in and what that's like, so people can almost kind of feel the travel aspect. So if they are home, working in their office job, or they're stuck in their car in their commute, they can kind of feel what it's like to travel with us.
So why you are exactly focusing on podcasts? Because we all know that video is really hot nowadays. So why not you are doing like any videos?
The reason why I don't do that many videos is that there's so much more production time in it. I do make videos, but more for fun or for my blog. When I make videos, I want it to be cool. I want it to have good locations. I want to edit it nicely. And when I do a podcast, I like to be able to talk to someone for an hour. And it's kind of hard to just show their face for an hour. Sometimes we do it in my apartment or in a hotel room. And it's not, and you can't really get the feel of, the surrounding nature or the beach or whatever's close by. With podcasts, the reason why I like it is people can listen to it while commuting, while in their car, while they're at their office, and they can spend an hour really, learning from it and not just being entertained for 5 or 10 minutes.
Who is your audience exactly? So who are finding your podcast?
I'm actually kind of surprised how many people have come up to me while traveling saying they listen to my podcast. So people from all around the world, a lot from the US, a lot from the UK or Australia, but different parts of Europe, different parts of Asia. Most people, I would say, are still home in their jobs and they haven't actually started traveling, and they haven't, they're still dreaming about this lifestyle. But at the same time, pretty much, every other day or at least once a week, I meet someone in person, here in Thailand or down in the islands that have said, hey, I listen to your podcast, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. So you had like 2 years of experience running your podcast. How long did it take to started on that everything went and nicely, and also you had like audience?
So in the beginning, my audience was just my friends and my family, and I think you kind of have to start out not knowing who's going to listen to it, but just put it out there and see what happens. I think it took almost a year for me to get a big enough audience where it really mattered, But I didn't really know what I was doing. I honestly did it just for fun, and I think the reason why I enjoyed doing it is because I would always learn from talking to my guest. I could pick their brain and ask them all the questions I wanted to learn. So pretty much from day one, I've benefited from it. So my personal income, my personal business has grown because I learned from each one of these guests. But it wasn't for at least 6 months, if not a year, that I started making a lot of money from my podcast.
So how often do you make a podcast, like air, like once every month or?
No, so I have a new episode every single week, and I think it keeps me on track. There's some weeks there's a lot of people I want to interview, and then there's some weeks I'm tired or I'm busy doing other things. But this forces me to say, what? No, I have to spend an hour every week learning something new, interviewing someone, meeting someone, and sharing this with the audience.
So you just mentioned that you were able to monetize your podcast. So how you are monetizing the podcast?
So I've thought of a lot of different ways. Obviously, I can get a show sponsor. I have advertising in my podcast. The reason why I never did it is because it feels like it interrupts the flow. So the only thing I do is anytime someone, either myself or my guest, mentions something, whether it's a book or product or course that they recommend anyways, I'll monetize that by turning it into an affiliate link. And then when I have it on my mailing list, in the show notes or my blog, and someone buys that product or signs up for whatever it is using my link, I can earn sometimes a very small, sometimes a very big affiliate commission from it.
So the travel blog is only one website of yours, right? And then I also read an opportunity about an internship. So what is this internship about?
So the internship actually had nothing to do with me. I only promoted it because I thought it was a cool opportunity. And it was basically a co-working space that just opened up on one of the islands. And they said, hey, we need some people to start it off and kind of help out. And they offered free accommodation, free membership to the co-working space, and some other goodies. And I said, that sounds awesome. I'll help find 5 or 10 people to come join. So a lot of times, I do things on my podcast or my blog that I don't actually make money from, but I like sharing good value, and I know that maybe a year or 2 years from now, somehow that's going to help me. But I don't do it because there's like an immediate benefit. I just know if I just keep doing good things and I help a lot of people, one day they're going to be rich and they're going to want to help me out too.
So did you manage to get like 10 people together?
Yeah, I think we had 7.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. So this is one of your websites, and you have another website as well, right?
Yeah, my blog is johnnyfd.com. I have my old Muay Thai blog, which I don't really update anymore. I have all my different e-commerce stores, which I sell different various niche products on. I have my podcast. I have a bunch of websites, but everything kind of gets funneled through johnnyfd.com.
Okay, so on johnnyfd.com you have like a blog where you talk about all of your different online businesses, right? So what are the main businesses that you are working on at the moment?
So my biggest income for the longest time has been my dropshipping stores. So running my actual e-commerce stores. I would say on average I make about $4,000 to $6,000 a month from dropshipping or e-commerce. And that's been my longest running business. I have books that I sell, but that's usually only a few $100s a month. Lately I've been creating my own courses. So I make some money from my course Earnest Affiliate, which I teach people how to start their own blog and make money through affiliate marketing.
So it's on Udemy, right?
So I have a light version on Udemy, which, because Udemy often has crazy sales, and I don't really want to give them access to the entire course for whatever that sale amount is. So what I did was I took basically 20% of my course and put that on Udemy and said, okay, this is a great sampler, and I made it so somebody could just take that and they can learn enough to build their business and to make money. I didn't want it to be like a teaser and be like, okay, now you have to buy it. But at the same time, I want to have my own platform where I can really share my secrets and know that everyone that's in it has paid for it. So in Earnest Affiliate, which is my full price course, I show exactly how much money I make from each affiliate product to promote. I show the exact traffic source. I show the blog entry or the email template, and that way people can really replicate it.
Oh, that's Udemy strategy is really clever. It's really nice.
Yeah, and I think everyone watching this, if you have like a big course, something that you sell for more than $200, and then you want to give people like a sample of it, just slice off, a piece of it that can be a very good value, and then say, okay, let me put this on there for a little bit cheaper, and if someone joins, then they can either be happy with this, or they can be like, oh, that was so good, let me also join this course.
So you do this, like, you have a membership site. Do you do also like one-to-one coaching?
I do a little bit of one-on-one coaching. The reason why I don't like it is I can't scale that. If I record a 1-hour video, that video can play for 1,000 people. But if I spend 1 hour on the phone with someone, that is a private conversation. That usually, it's very beneficial to that one person. But for me, even though they might pay me, $150 for that call, at the big picture, it's not really worth my time.
I see. Yeah, because whenever you produce something, then it should be something that you can share with a bigger audience.
Exactly.
So, tell me a little bit about your life. Like, where you are coming from, why you came to Thailand, and what's in the future?
So I'm born and raised in San Francisco. I came to Thailand in 2008 just for a vacation. And I stayed because I liked to do scuba diving, I liked Muay Thai, I liked traveling and living on the cheap. But it wasn't until a few years ago where I decided...
What did you do in San Francisco?
I worked for Honeywell as a basically business-to-business consultant in sales. So I worked in a cubicle, and I didn't love my job, but it was a very good job for an American. And
so one day you said it was enough, and
well, one day I said I need a vacation, so I came here. It was only supposed to be for 3 weeks, and it wasn't until I got here I realized, what, life back home is a constant rat race. It's stressful. I'm not saving any money. I'm making a lot of money back in the U.S., but I wasn't saving anything. So I decided, what am I doing? Let me come out here and see what happens.
So you came in 2008 and you stayed?
I stayed, yeah. I've been home for 3 months at a time, but I've never been home for more than that amount of time.
So the majority of time you spend in Thailand?
Yeah, I've been here probably 90% of the time.
So how your family, your friends accepted your move?
In the beginning, they were very critical of it, and that's why made it very difficult to move here, even for my trial period of 3 months. And every time I would go back, they would try to convince me to stay. And it wasn't until probably about a year ago when I started paying my parents' property tax and I started having enough money to, really have a good life, did they realize, what, maybe Johnny's onto something.
Yeah, that's nice. So it took you about 5 years to really figuring out online business and how to live comfortably.
I think most people can do it a lot sooner now that there's information out there. So if they follow the guidance of other entrepreneurs who've done it already, if they kind of just look at my income reports and be like, okay, well, he makes this much from this, and I can do that, then it shaves off 4 years. They can spend 1 year building that business instead of 4 years trying to find it, which was my downside is I didn't know anyone else was doing this, so that's why it took me so long.
So you didn't hire any coach? You didn't?
I did. I joined a program called Anton Method, and it taught me how to build my first e-commerce store. And taking that knowledge, I built another one, and then I was like, okay, well now what do I want to do? And then I started doing consulting to kind of help people grow their own memberships, their e-commerce stores. I started doing all these other things, but it all started from that. So I think if you find the right course to take, invest the money, because it's like going to school. You have to spend money to learn.
And how do you see yourself in a year and in 5 years?
So in a year, I think I'm going to be traveling somewhere. I think I'm always going to have Chiang Mai as my home base because I really like it here. It's so cheap, the weather's so good. I mean, this is in the middle of winter right now and it's beautiful. And there's such great community here. So I think I'll just keep an apartment here the whole year. And for 3 weeks or 3 months at a time, I'll travel to Europe or, back to, maybe to other parts of the world I want to go. 5 years from now, I think most likely I'll be living in the US somewhere. I would like to have enough money where I can, have a sustainable, eco-friendly piece of land where I can have a sustainable garden. I can have, a lot of nature around me, a lot of animals, but still have enough online income coming in where I don't have to stress. I can just enjoy life and have a Ferrari.
That sounds really nice. So you're seeing yourself back in California?
Probably not. I'll probably be in Austin, Texas.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there's a lot of entrepreneurs there. Land's a lot cheaper. There's no income tax.
I see. So you mentioned that there are so many information out there. how to do, like how to start an online business, but there are so many different ways to do. So I think most of the people are interested about how to start a business or what kind of business to start where they can actually generate money as soon as possible. So nobody wants to spend a year trying to build up something, for example, in a case of startup, that you wait for investors and then see what happens. So what would be your recommendation where to start if someone would like to follow your lifestyle and live in Thailand, living behind corporate, and they don't want to spend their savings?
I would suggest to look at my income reports every month and see what I've been doing, and that way they know what's working currently. Because maybe something's been working 2 years ago, and now it's more difficult to do or harder to get into. But if you can see that, like, I'm making this much from it this month, it's probably gonna, be relatively easy for you to do the same. So if you go to Johnny FD and just look at the latest income report, you can see, okay, what suits you. So maybe some of the things that I do maybe won't suit you right away, but then there's some that you're like, okay, that seems like something I can do. And then you can figure out, how do I get started with it? That's why I interview so many people on my podcast, because I ask them, how did you get started with it? And if they recommended a book or a course, I'll link to it and say, okay, well, this guy, he took this course, he read this book, and he did it. That's what I would probably recommend too. Why reinvent the wheel and try to figure it out yourself when you can just follow what someone else did?
So you mentioned that you have an income report, so it means that you are very transparent about your life and success and your online marketing and businesses.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. To be honest, it was a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning, but I wanted to be able to share openly like what is actually working, because there's so much confusion out there in the world. And now that I've been doing it for almost a year, now I figure every month I have to do better, because it looks really bad if I'm not. So it's good for me. It's helped me grow my business.
So tell me, like, how a digital nomad lifestyle looks like, because I think people probably they think that, it's like everybody's just on vacation, like 12 months a year, and like everybody's enjoying life. And so how your week is actually looking like?
A lot of people are just enjoying life. They are on vacation. There's co-working space right behind us, and I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning, and today's Monday, and I would say half of my friends, my digital nomad friends, they are, still sleeping from the night before, from partying on the weekend, or they're out, they're on a, overnight trip somewhere for the weekend. And when it comes down to it, it's not a bad thing, because people want to travel, people want to see the world. You just have to decide what's your priority. My priority right now is I want to build my business. I want to increase my income. I want to make enough where I can travel to Europe business class and live a good life and have enough money to buy a house and buy this sustainable farm. And that's why I come in at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, and I will work until 4 o'clock. Versus someone else who they only might work 1 or 2 hours a day and spend the rest of the week traveling and sightseeing. That's the priority, and it's fine too. Not everyone has to crush it as a digital nomad. A lot of people are very happy just getting by, and to be honest, that was me for a long time. For a long time I decided it's like, if I can make $600 a month, I can live in Thailand, and I was happy with that.
Even after like your corporate job in the US? So
even after making a pretty good salary in the US, I think I made about $50,000 a year. When I started making a tenth of that, I guess, my quality of life was higher. I had more freedom. I had, even though I was living in a small apartment that wasn't very nice, it was my own place. I didn't have to share it with roommates living in LA. I had, even though I was riding, a scooter around, I didn't have a Lexus anymore. I was happier in that scooter because I had more freedom. Even though I was eating, cheap Thai food, that's what I wanted to eat. I was like very happy eating, Thai, like some pad Thai on the street versus going to like a nice restaurant, because overall I was happier. And I think in that case, money doesn't matter. Where, is when you ask yourself, am I as a whole, am I happier now making less money, or happier earning more money back home? You know, the answer at the time was I was happier with no money, but having freedom. Now I'm happy having money and freedom.
That sounds interesting. So right now we are in Chiang Mai in Thailand, but there are different locations worldwide for digital nomads, especially like in Asia and South America. So what are these like top 5 locations, and which one would you recommend to like even like trying to think about to move there?
So the top 2 are both in Thailand. I would say Chiang Mai is number 1, and the second would be one of the islands, probably Koh Lanta. And then there's a lot of people in Saigon right now, which is good if you like big cities, which wasn't never my thing. Budapest is a great place in Europe that's a lot more affordable than the rest of Europe, but has a good scene. And then there's a lot of other ones that are trying to pop up, but none of them are really established enough. There's a lot of places that have co-working spaces, but there's just not really a big enough community where they can really figure out where to go. You can go to a site called Nomad list, where they have a list of the top 10 or top 100 places, and they'll rank how much it costs to live there, the scene, the Wi-Fi speed. But the reason why everyone comes to Thailand, especially Chiang Mai, is by far there's more people here than anywhere else in the world. Probably, I would say there's more people, more digital nomads here in this small city than there are combined in the rest of the world.
Okay, so probably most of the audience will be from New York City for this interview. So, like for Americans, can you give an idea that how the visa situation look like here in Thailand?
For the visa situation? So as an American, it's super easy. All you have to do is apply at your local consulate. You can do it online, and you can get 6 months, a 6-month multiple entry visa, and that allows you to come in and out of Thailand as much as you want for the next 6 months. It really could not be easier. There are rules where you're not technically allowed to have a business in Thailand, but as a digital nomad, it's kind of a gray zone, which nobody cares about right now, because you're not taking any local jobs, you're not hurting the economy. You're basically just bringing in money as a foreigner into Thailand, spending money here as a tourist. You spend money at coffee shops, co-working spaces, hotels, resorts. So basically just come. And for people living in a place like New York where rent is really expensive, if you can sublet your place, you actually make money being here.
So talking about the expenses, where like in New York you rent a 1-bedroom apartment around $2,500 or $3,000. So what are your monthly expenses here?
So I live in the equivalent of a small 1-bedroom apartment that would be in like central Manhattan. It's walking distance to all the coffee shops and all the restaurants. It'd be like living in like the lower east side or something, like a cool area that has a lot of coffee shops. It's a small place, but 1 bedroom, separate living room. But the difference is it's fully furnished. I have a pool, I have a gym, I have a rooftop, I have a sauna, and I only pay $400 a month. Versus in New York, that same place would be probably $3,000, and it wouldn't be furnished. You would probably have cockroaches and rats, sorry. And you probably wouldn't have a pool, you probably wouldn't have all the stuff. So just that alone is worth the monetary difference. Food here is much cheaper anyways. I mean, you can have nice Thai food here for $1, $2. Or if you go to like the nicest Thai restaurant, maybe you might pay $5 a dish. Versus in New York, you easily pay double or triple that for wherever you go. Just life here is just easier in general. I mean, everything's cheaper. I mean, if I really try to spend a lot of money, I might spend $1,200 a month.
If you're really trying hard. Okay. Can you please repeat once again your 2 main websites that are recently active?
Yeah, so if you want to find out more, you can either listen to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. It's travellikeabosspodcast.com. Or if you go to my blog, johnnyfd.com, everything's on there, including the income reports.
And how people find you on Udemy if they are looking for your Udemy classes?
It'll be under Johnny FD.
Oh, Johnny FD.
Yeah, or you can go to my blog. I have links to it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.